It was insane. And it was so insane that what you found was people were coming from all over the city. And it's not a big city. It's a city of about 70,000. But people were coming from all over the city to get gas at this convenience store. They could not keep gas in stock.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast.
Minisode.
I want to tell you a story about gas wars that happened in my hometown here just a couple years ago, and maybe bring it around to a principle that you might consider with regard to your appraisal office. Speaking of your appraisal office, I hope that you are managing it with a software that was designed by appraisers for appraisers. That software, of course, is ANow. You can find out more by going to anow.com/coach. One more time, anow.com/coach. Okay, well, not too far. In fact, I can actually see it from my window here in my office. There is two convenience stores. And one of them had been a long-time established convenience store that had had a recent remodel. And I think a new purchase opened up under a new name. And within about a year of them opening up, a new convenience store opened up across the street. Now, this was vacant land before that. Not that it matters that much to the story, but there had never been a convenience store across the street. And once that new convenience store was opened up. So keep in mind, we've got a newly remodeled and within a year, a brand new convenience store opening across the street. So there's two convenience stores, basically kitty corner from one another. Now, as the new convenience store, the brand new build opened up, they of course want to draw new customers to their location. And so they have their grand opening. Well, at their grand opening, it was very interesting. I watched this play out over about a 6-month period where the convenience store that had been there, that had been established, again, remodeled, new ownership, but nonetheless had been there first, decided that they didn't like this idea of having a convenience store across the street from them. And so in order to draw customers away from the grand opening, they decided that they were going to drop the prices of their gasoline. Okay, so the fuel prices started to drop. Well, the new convenience store didn't like this much either, okay, and so they decided that they were going to drop their prices as well. And what ensued was a gas war that I was actually quite interesting, and it made the news. And what had happened was neither convenience store wanted to lose, and especially the one that had been established decided that it could not allow this new convenience store to get a foothold. And their tactic was to keep dropping, and always be the cheapest gas, no matter what. And it got to the point, believe it or not, and this was not very long ago, just a couple of years ago, it got to the point that gasoline was far less than it cost. In other words, they were losing money on the gasoline. In fact, I could be wrong, but I think I remember it actually getting down less than $1 per gallon. And this was at a time when most of the gasoline in the area was $3+ a gallon, $3+ a gallon. It was insane. And it was so insane that what you found was people were coming from all over the city. And it's not a big city. It's a city of about 70,000. But people were coming from all over the city to get gas at this convenience store. They could not keep gas in stock. It reminded me of the gas lines of the 70s. There were lines down the street to save a couple pennies, well, a couple dollars per gallon on gas. And what happened was this new convenience store really could not get much of a foothold because the established convenience store absolutely refused to be equal to or more per gallon than the new convenience store across the street. Now, was that a smart idea to lose money? I don't think so. Because guess what happened? The old convenience store, I'm going to call them the old, again, they weren't that old, they'd been recently remodeled, but the established convenience store, the old convenience store, absolutely refused to be undersold. As a consequence, even though the one across the street, the new convenience store across the street, was having its grand opening, people were not coming to that store. You would literally drive past and you would see lines of cars down the road at the old convenience store and maybe a couple in the parking lot and at the pumps across the street, even though the one across the street really was not that much more money. What happened was interesting because what happened, and I asked myself at the time, why would a convenience store sell gas for far less money than it probably cost them to put in their big tank? Why would they do that? Well, because they were forward thinking and they understood that the short-term cost would pay off in the long-term psychology of their customers. What do I mean by that? In the short term, and this happened over a period of weeks, months, that they continually had these gas wars going on. But what happened? And I can tell you it happened because it happened with me. And by the way, I'm a student of psychology. I'm a student of marketing. I've always been interested in how consumers work. It's always been interesting to me to watch how consumers work. And part of this process of looking at how consumers work plays out, of course, in my own business. But it also plays out in my own life. Even though I kind of know the rules of the game, I still find myself getting sucked into these psychological games. And what happened was whoever was managing the old established convenience store understood that this was a short-term sacrifice for a long-term payoff. And here's what happened. I got in my mind that even though it's half a block from where I'm at, and I use I gas up, I fuel up here locally quite often, the honest truth is I never think to even look at the gas prices anymore at the new convenience store. Because I always know psychologically, or think, maybe not know, but think that the one across the street is going to be cheaper. And I know it's always by a penny, maybe 2 pennies. It's not much. And typically I'm right, by the way, when I do check. But I don't bother to check that much. You know why? Because psychologically, I already know that the old established convenience store has the cheaper prices. Because they absolutely refused for a period of time to be undersold. And I stuck it in my mind that that's the way it is and that's the way it will always be. So guess what? Today, years later, when I look across the road at the convenience store, in fact, I'm looking right now. So the new convenience store right now, there are 3 cars in the parking lot. Across the street of the established, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 at the pumps and another 4 or 5. I can't see the full parking lot just at the convenience store. Now, I can't see from here what the prices are, but I guarantee that their marketing decision to not be undersold in their gas prices in the very beginning established psychologically in the mind of return customers that they would be the competitive place to go. Speaking of competitive, are you competitive in your marketplace? Are you spending too much time managing your appraisal business? Do you need assistance? Do you need help? I'm going to encourage you to utilize technology in that process. It's ANow software. Folks, I was just in ANow just now. We keep our work file in ANow. Because it's so easy. It's so easy to search. You can jump on ANow, start to type in the address, immediately pops up. I can see what files are in there, and I can click and drag. I just pulled comps and some MC sheets on some properties, and it was so easy. I saved them right from the MLS into my computer and just took and dragged that sheet into the file, and it's there forever. It's searchable, not just on the desktop, but on my phone. Folks, these are just a few things that ANow will do for you. Check them out. Go to anow.com/coach for more information. Check them out. And even, I would highly encourage that you take the demo. It's free. They'll walk you through how this can benefit your life. Check it out. Go to anow.com/coach. One more time, anow.com/coach. All right, folks, we're talking today about, I'm just using an anecdotal story that happened here a couple of years ago where a new convenience store was built across from a more established convenience store. And the more established convenience store said, oh, no, you don't. And they got in this gas war back and forth to where they dropped their prices so much it was quite humorous and ridiculous. Made the news. There were lines down the street, people filling up their tanks. But what it did in my mind, and part of this is just me guessing, but I'm looking at my own experience. I don't even look at the new convenience, even though it's a nicer, bigger store, more pumps. I never go there. You know why? Because in my mind, psychologically, the older, established convenience store across the street has the cheaper gas prices. I never even think about it. I think that the management of the old, established convenience store decided that with the new threat, the competition across the street, that they were going to establish in the minds the psychology of their not just current but future customers, that they would not be undersold. And they established a reputation for themselves. As a consequence, I don't even think about it. When I go to this particular intersection to fuel up, I immediately steer my car into the older convenience store. Why? Because in my mind, they have the cheaper prices. And I honestly don't even check. I don't even look at the prices. I just know that the older established one is going to have a cheaper price. Why? Because it's established in my psyche. Their marketing plan worked. Okay, what does this have to do with appraisal, Dustin? Well, again, guess which convenience store I always go to. I don't even look at the prices anymore because psychologically I've decided that the older store is cheaper. Now, I am not asking you, please do not turn off the podcast now and think that you know where I'm going with this. I am not in any way asking you to reduce your fees and be established as the, what's the word that they throw around on the internet? The Skippy that always takes the cheaper prices, okay? But I am asking you to apply this principle in other aspects of your business. Think about who your clientele are. Now, establish yourself as the go-to company. Well, how, Dustin? What do you mean? If you're not the cheapest prices, what can you be? Well, what if you're the company that always answers their phone? It doesn't go to voicemail. What if you are the company that always goes the extra mile and maybe meets with the agent at the property, even though you don't need to? Okay, you've got an MLS key, for example, or a lockbox key, but you're always there to help them with a question. What if you're the company that constantly posts new content to your website, that people can count on you to have the most current market information on your website? What if you're the company that always shows up to your appointments on time? And that if you can't, that you call ahead, apologize, and rearrange? Here's one for you. What if you're the company that always turns your reports in, not on time, but early? Folks, years ago, I established myself in new markets by being the company that would do any appraisal assignment that I felt competent to do. That meant I got dome houses, geodesic domes. That meant I got oddball properties. That meant I got the ones with large acreages. That meant that I got fill in the blank because my competition said no. But I established myself in new areas specifically when I was young and hungry by being the appraiser that would do anything. They knew they could count on me. So guess what? They didn't just turn to you. I know what you're thinking. Well, Dustin, I don't want to be that guy that they just give all of the crap to. Well, guess what? I wasn't. Yes, they gave me the crap, but guess what? Because they knew they could count on me, they also gave me the cookie cutters, if there is any such thing in my area. Just one more example of establishing a reputation that will last into the future. Yes, sometimes you need to make sacrifices. Yes, this older established gas station had to pay out the nose for a period of time to establish themselves as the company that you will want to go to in the future. But guess what? Their long-term success is paying off. What is your reputation? How can you take this principle of the gas wars and instead of just lowering your fees, certainly not what I'm encouraging here, but use that same principle to establish yourself as the company who fill in the blank. Folks, if you're interested in growing your company and would like some assistance in doing so, if you're ready to take your appraisal office to the next level, I would encourage you to consider being a part of my Dream Team Mastermind. Folks, there is no other principle out there that will help you to achieve more than the Mastermind principle. To sit in a room with other very successful appraisers and hear from them how to get to the next level. It is an amazing experience that I cannot describe over the microphone. You have to be there to experience it. By the way, I let anybody that wants come to one mastermind for free. Yes, you've got to travel there. Okay, I'm not going to pay your plane ticket, but you can sit in that room and I will buy you lunch and you can have that experience. Just reach out to me or my assistant by emailing us, either the coach at theappraisercoach.com or the assistant at theappraisercoach.com, and we will find you a chair somewhere in the U.S. and let you experience that awesome feeling of being in the room with other successful appraisers who all have one goal in mind, and that is to help you to achieve more. Thank you for joining me today, folks, and we will catch you next time.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.
Oh, sorry, editor, let me back up.